So with the NFL Combine over, I figured I'd do a mock draft. This mock draft is going to be done in three parts. Every part's going to have 10 picks. Obviously one of them is going to have, or this one, excuse me, this one's going to have 10. The rest of them are going to have 11 and 11. So with the first pick in the draft, the Bengals have been on the clock since the season ended. And they will obviously select Joe Burrow. So the Bengals have a need at QB after the Andy Dalton era is basically over now. And Joe Burrow is not the most talented, I think Chase Young is, but he is the best player at the most important position right now, which is QB, in this draft. Now, he had a great year this year, leading the LSU Tigers to a national championship. I've seen some stuff about how his arm strength is not as good as it is. I think every prospect has its pros and cons. So I think Joe Burrow is as good as a prospect as it gets. If someone offers a buttload of picks, the classic, I'll give you this year's first, next year's first, another first after that. I could see the Bengals trading down this, but besides that, they're going to take Joe Burrow with this pick. Now, the Redskins got the second pick in the draft, and with it, I think they take Chase Young. Now, obviously, there's been some talk about them trading down or drafting a QB. I still believe in Dwayne Haskins. I think overall, they'll stay with Dwayne Haskins, even though he was not drafted by Ron Rivera and I guess this kind of regime, or not just the front office, I guess. He was drafted by the previous front office. I think they'll still keep him out there for another year. And Chase Young is the best prospect in this draft. I think talent-wise, obviously he doesn't play the QB or an offensive skill position, so he's not the best player in this draft, but he is a very, very special athlete. Now, number 3, I have the Detroit Lions taking Jeffrey Okudah. Obviously, QB is that sort of that need. I don't really know what's really going over there with Matthew Stafford, whether they're going to trade him, whether they're going to keep him. He's under contract for the next 2 years, so they could keep him, but, there's some kind of things on the web that say they're going to trade him. I don't know how much you can believe that, but Jeffrey Okudah fills a need for them, and he's, I think, a really good player. I think the Combine showed that. At the Combine, he had a 41-inch leap and a 4.48 40-yard dash. That was pretty crazy. I just think he's a really good prospect, and he could really help the Lions a lot. So, in my opinion, the New York Giants are in a tough spot. 1, Jeffrey Okudah, Chase Young, and Joe Burrow. Obviously, I think there's a talent difference between them and the rest of this draft. 2, this defense has obvious holes, and it just needs a complete repair. The offensive line still needs some help, and I think they're just going to need trade assets and trade down. That's why David Gettleman said the Giants were basically open for business, because this team just needs a lot of help, and they're not one impact player away from really changing their season around and how good they can be as a team by just one player. So I had them trade down I had the Colts trade up. Now, why are the Colts trading up? The Colts are trading up because Jacoby Brissett has obviously not proven himself as a long-term solution at QB. Now, they could take Tua right here, and the Dolphins might take Tua, right? So the Colts are going to do this so they can have basically they can let Tua recover for however long that recovery process is going to be. And they have Jacoby Brissett, so they don't have to force Tua to basically, just play out there, right? So they can have basically just a switch off, because Jacoby Brissett is not a long-term solution at the QB position. Basically, the trade is basically a swap of first-round picks, and the Giants get a second-rounder and a sixth-rounder. Basically, they're just moving down 8 spots, and they're going to get two high, or the second round pick's going to be very high quality, and the 6th round pick could have a potential to find a starter. So yeah, I think this would be, you know, something that could happen. Now, the Miami Dolphins, I had them taking a QB here. Obviously, they're not forced to take a QB. They could run it back with Josh Rosen, still see what they could have with him. It didn't look so too promising this year, in my opinion. Um, I think Justin Herbert could be an interesting QB for them. Obviously, there are some concerns about how he well, his throw power. There are no concerns, but basically, what I've read is that a lot of scouts are concerned with how he with his decision making, and yeah, I think he can work on that. And I think the Dolphins right here, they can supply him with some weapons and maybe get some pass protectors later in the draft because they do have 2 other first round picks, I believe. So yeah, they should take. They're going to take Justin Herbert with the 5th pick. Now for the Chargers, they could trade down and they could get Bryce Love, which is the 3rd best quarterback in this draft. But they are a free agent destination as they are in LA. So I think they should just get this what I think is one of the safer picks in the draft, Jarek Wills. He seems like a really good offensive lineman. I believe he's only let up like 1 sack in his career or something like that. But overall, he seems like the best offensive lineman in this draft. And pass protection is an obvious need for them. So I think that fills a very important need for them, yeah. The Panthers have a 7th overall pick, and I have them taking Derek Brown. I would have them taking Isaiah Simmons, but they need defensive line help, and I don't really trust as much. I trust Derek Brown with defensive line help as he can play more positions, in my opinion, better than Isaiah Simmons can. But I think Isaiah Simmons is the better prospect, but Derek Brown is the better fit for the Panthers. So yeah. 8th overall pick, I have the Cardinals taking CeeDee Lamb. Now I have them taking CeeDee Lamb because they have an obvious need at wide receiver. And although they have a need also at offensive lineman, and this is a very strong class in both of those positions, I think CeeDee Lamb would be the perfect fit for them, as they need a slot receiver who can help Kyler Murray, who can give Kyler Murray a weapon on the inside. Now with the 9th overall pick, the Jaguars are going to take Isaiah Simmons. Now they have an obvious need at linebacker, and Isaiah Simmons fits that bill. I think Isaiah Simmons is a really good player. I think on the defensive side of the ball, he is the best lock to be on an impact starter on any team. Now this Browns pick is very easy. With the 10th pick, they need offensive line help. It is very obvious. Their offensive line is really bad, and they're going to take Malik Beacon. I'm not pronouncing that right. Malik Beacon looks to be really good. I think he's the best offensive line prospect left on the board. And yeah, I mean that's my that's part 1 of this mock. Stay tuned for part 2, where you'll learn the picks 11 through I guess 21. Yeah. Fade music out. Dun 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 dun. We'll be back right after this commercial break.